It is now time for our 7 p.m. poll closings coming from a number of states. Out of the state of Virginia, this is our first swing state up for tonight. Bernie Sanders is the projected winner with its 13 crucial electoral votes, especially towards the Democratic campaign. Going over to his home state of Vermont, Bernie Sanders is the projected winner with its 3 electoral votes. As for the Republicans, Donald Trump wins in the state of Kentucky with its 8 electoral votes and is the projected winner out of his running mate's home state of Indiana. Vice President Mike Pence is from this state, 11 electoral votes to add to the president's column at the end of the evening. And in the state of South Carolina, it is currently too close to call with its crucial 9 electoral votes to every Republican campaign. Has been getting it closer in previous election years, but is expected to go to the GOP at the end of the night. The state of Georgia is currently too close to call between Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. Heavy African American population here, a very big part of the electorate. 16 electoral votes at stake. And on the current electoral map, Donald Trump right now has a total of 19 electoral votes to Bernie Sanders' 16 electoral votes. It is now time for the 7:30 p.m. poll closings from West Virginia, North Carolina, and the state of Ohio. Out of the state of South Carolina, this is a state previously characterized as too early to call, has now been projected to go to Donald Trump with its 9 electoral votes. Coming out of the state of West Virginia, no surprise here, Donald Trump is the projected winner with its 5 electoral votes. Moving on to the state of North Carolina, Donald Trump narrowly leads Bernie Sanders with its 15 electoral votes at stake, 23% of precincts reporting. And in the state of Ohio, another crucial swing state for both campaigns, 18 electoral votes at stake. Donald Trump narrowly leads Bernie Sanders. Moving on to our electoral map, as you can see, no real change here. Donald Trump at 33 electoral votes and Bernie Sanders at 16. A reminder that 270 electoral votes is needed to win this presidential election. It is now time for the 8 o'clock p.m. poll closings, ranging from the northeast all the way to the south. From the state of Alabama, 9 electoral votes. Donald Trump is the projected winner. No real surprise here. Coming over from the neighboring state of Mississippi, 6 electoral votes. Donald Trump is the projected winner. We can now project that the state of Missouri, with its 10 electoral votes, will go to Donald Trump, closer than previous years, but still going into the Republican column very solidly. Out of the state of Tennessee, 11 electoral votes. If you remember back in 2016, there was a discussion of a Democrat winning in Tennessee. Clearly, Donald Trump is the projected winner at the end of the evening tonight. From the state of Oklahoma, a very solid Republican state. Keep in mind, Donald Trump won every single county in this state back 4 years ago. Donald Trump, the projected winner of their 7 electoral votes going on into the evening. From the state of Illinois, Bernie Sanders is the projected winner with its 20 electoral votes. He will win here. From the state of Maryland, 10 electoral votes, a very Democratic state. No surprise here, Bernie Sanders is the projected winner. Moving over to the state of Delaware, 3 electoral votes, small but still counts towards the Democratic campaign. Bernie Sanders, the projected winner. Bernie Sanders will also carry the state of New Jersey and its 14 electoral votes. The state of Massachusetts, 11 electoral votes, nearing around the home state of Bernie Sanders. If you remember, Elizabeth Warren is from this state. Going over to the state of Connecticut, 7 electoral votes. Remember, Donald Trump campaigned here back in 2016 and in 2020, but to no avail. Bernie Sanders is still the projected winner, with this state remaining in the Democratic column. Going over Rhode Island, 4 electoral votes. Bernie Sanders, the projected winner. Out of the state of Maine, all 4 of their electoral votes are now projected to go to Bernie Sanders. This is a flip from 2016. If you go back to the 2016 presidential election results, Hillary Clinton lost the 2nd congressional district while carrying the 1st and Maine at large. The 2nd district has now flipped from the GOP to the Democratic column, going back to where it was under the Obama era. Over in the District of Columbia, there's a mistake in the corner of the screen saying it has 4 electoral votes. It actually has 3, but regardless, still goes to Bernie Sanders at the end of the night. And the state of Pennsylvania is currently too early to call. This is an interesting characterization because Pennsylvania was a very crucial swing state to the Trump victory in 2016. This is a state that flipped for the first time in around 28 years, and Bernie Sanders right now is currently leading Donald Trump, but we have less than 1% of precincts reporting, so it is too early to call, not too close to call. For the state of Florida, though, this state is too close to call. Right now, Bernie Sanders leads Donald Trump with a number of Democratic precincts coming in right now. There are some Republican precincts still out. Bernie Sanders leads Donald Trump with its crucial 29 electoral votes from the Sunshine State. The state of New Hampshire, 4 electoral votes. Very, very crucial to both campaigns. Right now, Donald Trump is heavily behind Bernie Sanders by around 15%. But again, there are many Republican counties that are still yet to come in, and Bernie Sanders still leads with a pretty large amount. We'll see how this ends up at the end of the evening. And on our current electoral map, map, a lot more swing states than we had before. We have New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, with a number of more red and blue states, totaling up to 76 electoral votes for Donald Trump, and Bernie Sanders now taking the lead at 92 electoral votes. Again, a quick reminder, 270 needed to win. It is now time for the 8:30 p.m. poll closings with only one state, and that is the state of Arkansas, with its 6 electoral votes at stake. Arkansas, 6 electoral votes. Donald Trump is the projected winner. As expected, very solidly Republican state. And on our electoral map, again, just a little bit more red filled in for the president, giving him a total of 82 electoral votes, still behind Bernie Sanders, who is at 92 electoral votes. It is now time for the 9 p.m. poll closings. There are a number of poll closings going up across the United States of America, ranging from New York all the way to Arizona. Coming out of the state of South Dakota, 3 electoral votes. Donald Trump is the projected winner. As goes South Dakota, so does North Dakota, with its, again, 3 electoral votes landing in the Trump column, totaling up to 6 electoral votes. Going over to Wyoming, 3 electoral votes. Very, very conservative state. Donald Trump expected to win very large here. Was his largest margin of victory back in 2016. The state of Wyoming goes again to President Donald Trump. Donald Trump will now carry all 5 districts from the state of Nebraska, which is a surprise to many. The 2nd district is not as close as previously thought. If you go back to 2018, went pretty well for the GOP in a Democratic wave year. Donald Trump now carrying all 5 electoral votes from the state of Nebraska. Bernie Sanders doing a little bit better than Hillary Clinton, but still nonetheless going to Donald Trump. In the state of Louisiana, it's 8 electoral votes. Donald Trump is the projected winner. Coming out of the South, going over to not Louisiana again. Going over to the state of Colorado, 9 electoral votes. Bernie Sanders is the projected winner. He wins in this crucial, quote-unquote, swing state. It was a swing state in 2016, 2018, but now has since moved over more into the Democratic column. A lot of people expected Bernie Sanders to win here, thus it being called at poll closing time. The state of New Mexico adds another 5 electoral votes to Bernie Sanders. Again, a swing state from 2016, not so much in 2020. From the state of New York, a huge win for the Bernie Sanders campaign. Remember, his primary defeat was months ago, but New York, with its 29 electoral votes, will go to Bernie Sanders at the end of the evening. And the state of Michigan, this is a swing state, this is a flip in favor of Bernie Sanders. He carries the state of Michigan, and it's 16 electoral votes. They are counting ballots here very, very quickly, which is why we're able to make such early generalization for this race itself. Michigan, with its 16 electoral votes, Bernie Sanders is the projected winner, flipping it from red to blue. This is another swing state along with Pennsylvania, which we may or may not be making a characterization in just a moment, but Michigan going to Bernie Sanders, flip from red to blue. As I was saying, Pennsylvania, with its 20 electoral votes, Bernie Sanders is the projected winner. There is one more swing state out, the state of Wisconsin, which the Trump campaign will need in order to hold on to a victory at the end of the evening. 20 electoral votes from the state of Pennsylvania going to Bernie Sanders. This is a huge win for the Bernie Sanders campaign. This is a win that they needed, and this is a win that is going to decimate the Trump campaign. Another swing state now going into the Democratic column, the state of New Hampshire. 4 electoral votes now going to Bernie Sanders. He is the projected winner here. No real surprise considering that he has a very strong Northeastern appeal, but again, not good news for the Trump campaign. Going over to the state of Minnesota, 10 electoral votes, which was actually pretty close in 2016, but Bernie Sanders really expanding, especially flipping Pennsylvania and Michigan already. Minnesota is already expected to go to Bernie Sanders with its 10 electoral votes. Now for the state of Wisconsin, this is the final swing state that Donald Trump needs to hold on to if he wants to have a shot at the presidency. 10 electoral votes with 61% of precincts reporting, narrowing down, but it is possible with a number of Republican counties yet to be counted. In the state of Arizona, an exact tie between Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. This race is going to get very interesting. Arizona was a state that went to the Democrats back in 2018 in both the House elections and Senate election. They currently have a Senate election up, which looks a little bit better for Democrats than the presidential election, but we'll see at the end of the evening who wins both statewide races. Now in the state of Kansas, this is pretty surprising to many. The solidly Republican state of Kansas is too early to call. We do not have enough information, especially with previous wins for Democrats in statewide elections here. It is possible that Donald Trump may be in a little bit of trouble here, but for right now it is only too early to call and not too close to call. 6 electoral votes at stake. And in the state of Texas, this one is widely expected to be too early to call. Previously characterized as safe for the GOP, now going into the lean and likely column. Too early to call, not necessarily too close to call, which means that Donald Trump is still leading, but again, we need more information to make a full characterization of the race. A little bit more yellow in terms of swing states in areas you may not have seen it before, such as Kansas or Texas, but overall the current electoral map is 104 electoral votes for Donald Trump and 185 for Bernie Sanders. It is now time for the 10 p.m. poll closings with 21 electoral votes at stake from Iowa, Utah, Montana, and Nevada. And out of the state of Utah, 6 electoral votes, Donald Trump is the projected winner. He will carry their 6 electoral votes from the state of Utah. Going over to Montana, another 3 electoral votes to add to the Donald Trump campaign. A contested House race here, but we'll get to that in a moment. The state of Texas, 38 electoral votes. Donald Trump is the projected winner. Characterized as a key race because it is closer than where it was before, but overall, right now, the state of Texas will go to Donald Trump at the end of the evening. A huge win for the Trump campaign, a total of 38 electoral votes. The state of Kansas, with its 6 electoral votes, Donald Trump is the projected winner, and he is going to win this state. Although it is not characterized as a key race, it is closer than 4 years ago. Moving on to the state of Nevada, it is currently too early to call, with 6 electoral votes at stake. This is pretty much expected, considering that this state is a Democratic state typically, but still gets very close in presidential election years. Moving on to the state of Iowa, it is also too early to call. Keep in mind, Donald Trump won this state back in 2016 by almost 10%. 9% of the vote Donald Trump won by against Hillary Clinton in 2016. Iowa, with its 6 electoral votes, are too early to call. Moving on to the electoral map, a little bit more red on that map, which gives Donald Trump a total of 161 electoral votes compared to Bernie Sanders' 185. It is now time for the 11 p.m. poll closings from the states of Idaho, Washington, Oregon, California, and the state of Hawaii. From the state of Idaho, Donald Trump is the projected winner of their 4 electoral votes, and here comes the big wins. The state of Georgia, right now, Donald Trump is the projected winner of its 16 electoral votes. This is a key race, swing state. Donald Trump is still the projected winner regardless. Donald Trump carries the state of Georgia by a narrower margin than in 2016, but still a win nonetheless. The state of North Carolina, with its 15 electoral votes, usually called around this hour, now going to the President of the United States. 15 electoral votes from the swing state of North Carolina going to Donald Trump. Moving on to the state of California, a huge win, biggest electoral prize in the union, 55 electoral votes. Bernie Sanders is the projected winner. Going over to the neighboring state of Washington on the West Coast, 12 electoral votes. Bernie Sanders the projected winner with a huge progressive population here. Moving on down to the state of Oregon with its 7 electoral votes, Bernie Sanders is the projected winner. From the state of Hawaii, with its 4 electoral votes, Bernie Sanders is the projected winner, and that puts us on our electoral map, putting Bernie Sanders very close to the magic number of 270 electoral votes. At 263 electoral votes, with Donald Trump's recent wins in a couple of swing states, Donald Trump now has 192 electoral votes. We now have state calls from the states of Florida, Nevada, and Wisconsin, totaling up to a crucial 45 electoral votes. From the state of Florida, Donald Trump is the projected winner. This is a huge win for the Trump campaign with its 29 electoral votes. Donald Trump is the projected winner of the Sunshine State of Florida. Moving over to the state of Nevada, Bernie Sanders is the projected winner. Another swing state now narrowing down into the Democratic column with 6 electoral votes. And here's the big one, the state of Wisconsin with its 10 electoral votes. Bernie Sanders is the projected winner from the state of Wisconsin. Another flip state from red to blue from 2016 to now. Bernie Sanders is the projected winner from the state of Wisconsin, and it's 10 electoral votes, and that puts us on our electoral map, giving Bernie Sanders a total of 279 electoral votes, which means that Bernie Sanders will go on to be the next president of the United States of America. Bernie Sanders wins the presidency, becoming the 46th president of the United States of America come January 2021, and moving on to the electoral map and electoral college vote, Bernie Sanders has 279 electoral votes compared to Donald Trump's 221. It is now time for our 1 o'clock a.m. poll closings from the state of Alaska. 3 electoral votes at stake. From the state of Alaska, 3 electoral votes. Donald Trump is the projected winner. No surprise here, solidly Republican state. From the state of Iowa, this is a win for the Trump campaign. 6 electoral votes, a swing state now narrowing down into the Trump column, but it does not make a difference considering that Donald Trump has already lost his re-election bid. The pathway to 270 has been cut off, but another addition to his electoral vote count, the state of Arizona with its 11 electoral votes will go to Donald Trump. This is a swing state now narrowly going to Donald Trump, ending up in the Trump column at the end of the evening. Out of the state of Ohio, this is the final call we are going to make tonight. The state of Ohio with its 18 electoral votes, Bernie Sanders is the projected winner. He wins from the state of Ohio. This is a huge flip. Donald Trump won here in 2016 by around 8%, now going to Bernie Sanders by 1%. A huge flip in favor of the Democratic Party. 18 electoral votes to be called at 1 a.m. in favor of the Democrats, which finalize our electoral college numbers with 241 electoral votes for Donald Trump and 297 for Bernie Sanders. This is the final electoral map. thank you guys for watching this video. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all of you out there. Thank you very much for supporting me throughout this entire, I guess, more than a year. I've had my channel since June of 2017. But this election night was pretty fun to make. I really want to give a huge shout out to Aaron Steeman. I can put a link down in the description below to his, not really, well, it is his YouTube channel, but it is a YouTube channel that you can go ahead and find out. And it has to do with the mock election community on Google+. But again, huge shout out to him for giving me the theme here. It is an amazing theme, as many of you can see. The overall, I guess, just sleekness of the design, it looks very realistic, and I'm very grateful that he gave me this. Again, so this electoral map is very interesting. I haven't done election night in a while, so there were like a little bit, couple mess ups, and I get it. And also, I was doing this on the airplane on the way to Disney. So again, like if you saw Louisiana, which was repeated twice, or just the DC call, which had 4 electoral votes, those tiny mistakes were made. I apologize for that. But overall, have a great holiday season. I think this video you shouldn't be watching on Christmas, but December 26th, go ahead and click on it. So this one will probably be up tonight around 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time, depending on how I get it out. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.